Yeah, and it's incredible to see that rivalry just kind of grow throughout the years. And like you said, it may have lost a little bit of its luster. But I mean, how do we keep it going? How do we keep it alive? Is there any other rivalry in the ACC that feels as good, that makes sense? Does Duke feel like a rivalry? I mean, how would you look at that?
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse has been in the Big East for so long. It doesn't really feel like any other school. I mean, okay, I get it. It's Duke, and now we can just transfer the hate from Georgetown to Syracuse has been in the Big East, transfer the hate. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's Georgetown. I don't even know, like, is there any other way, like you're saying, is there any other way to make another rivalry like that? But, I mean, how can you there's no, it's time. You can't get back time. It's been time since, it's been, late 80s into the early 90s, and it just carried on all the way till, during when I played. I mean, I guess if you stayed in the ACC for, now going forward for multiple years, and you play Duke every year, maybe possibly could have matched the rivalry with Georgetown, maybe. But I guess everything changes, and it's all about going forward. I guess technically, if you play Duke, I guess we can just transfer and make Duke the new Georgetown rivalry, I guess.
But when you look at it and you really break it down, I mean, Duke's biggest rival is not Syracuse; it's North Carolina.
Correct.
And North Carolina's biggest rival, is Duke, and then Syracuse somehow tries to jump in there. It feels weird because it's like your biggest rival is not their biggest rival.
Correct.
So
it's not. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's not the same on both ends. And guess what? For me personally, I don't necessarily see. I went to the Duke games. I went to the Carolina games. I went to all those games. I can see it. We hate Duke and beat Duke, but people just hate Duke. You know what I mean? I don't think you can be in Kansas, you can be in Nebraska. People just hate Duke. So I don't necessarily think that rivalry can take the place of the Georgetown Syracuse. I guess if we just keep going, I guess maybe another team will pop out of nowhere. Maybe Pittsburgh or something. I don't know. I guess maybe Pittsburgh's more of a rivalry than Duke, because Pittsburgh was in. I remember playing Pittsburgh in the Big East.
Yeah.
I remember playing maybe Miami in the Big East. Syracuse just beat. I guess maybe one of those teams, because they just have a little more history as far as playing. But I don't necessarily. I hate Duke. I didn't have that feeling. It's not the same. I don't even hate Georgetown. Actually, I'm probably going to be most sought after man after this, but I don't necessarily hate Georgetown because I like anybody. I didn't have that feeling. It's not the same. I don't even hate Georgetown. Actually, doesn't have the orange on their jersey. That's my enemy that night. You know what I mean? And I've had guys that I've played through the years, playing professional, that I've met that used to play at Georgetown, stuff like that, and they're good dudes. It's just we're on the line, we're in between the lines. Anybody is a rivalry. It doesn't matter who. If you're not Syracuse, it's just us against you.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, I mean, whoever's playing you that night is your rival.
Yeah.
So you feel that. Do you get a sense, though, when you played at Syracuse that you by far Georgetown was the biggest rival to the fans, or did you feel like UConn or Villanova or any of those other teams took it?
I think it's got to be Georgetown. I mean, I don't really think it might not even be that close.
Yeah.
It might not even be that close. Georgetown by a long shot. I think it's probably Georgetown by a long shot. Maybe a little bit Connecticut. St. John's when they were little in it. When I played, St. John's was good. Villanova was good. Connecticut was good. I mean, West Virginia. Maybe a little bit Connecticut. St. John's when they were little in it. When I played, St. John's was good. Notre Dame might be Villanova rival. Connecticut was good. I mean, West Virginia. Maybe a little bit Connecticut. St. John's when they were. I mean, when I played, it was a battle going to play those guys. West Virginia was good. I mean, those were just. Seton Hall had years, and a couple of years there where they were really, really solid. I mean, go to the Big East tournament, it's like you're playing Villanova the first night, you're playing Connecticut, and Boston College. I mean, these games were deep-rooted rivalry games that weren't quite on the level of Georgetown. But I do pick 5 to 6 teams more invested, as far as years go, as far as rivalry said, than Duke. I mean, Duke is, like you said. I mean, yeah, everybody just hates Duke, I think. And I just think the Georgetown rivalries, the old Big East rivalries, were just a little more. It has something that has to be said about the time. The year after year after year, you play these guys, and you just grew accustomed to who you're going to face, and the battles and where they were going to take place, if it would be here or at Georgetown or in the Big East tournament or wherever, So it was just like fans got behind that stuff, and it was just time. It's just time. It's hard to duplicate and replicate the time,
That coming here from Preston Shumpert this morning here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You talk about time, and that's the theme of time.
Yes.
Something in life that we should appreciate, something we should value, something that after 2020 should be front and center more than anything else, that
Absolutely.
every second matters. Bring me into time and the importance of it.
Yeah, man. I mean, me personally, it's always about going forward. It's never about let's say, looking back, because, the mistakes you've made, you can always, you can move on from them, you grow from them, You can never get it back. I grew accustomed to that type of idea, that mindset, when I was, after college and I wanted to go play professional, like, where I had time in between me and my family. My children were younger, and I'd be away from them, and I'd see them, and I'd be away, and then I'd see them, and just like, man, you just can't get this time back. I'd see my son, when he was young, and it'd be 48 hours. I'd come home like, man, he looks like he grew, an inch. He probably was growing an inch, but every hour. But it just seemed like they grew so much during short periods of time. And I just that mindset couldn't get out of my head every hour. But it just seemed like you can repair friendship. They grew so much during short periods of time. And I just that mindset get back out of my head every hour. But it just seemed like you can repair friendship. They grew so much. Time is precious, man.
And when you look back on 2020, they say hindsight's 2020. I was talking about this with Danny Shays yesterday. I said,
right.
How funny is it that we've had in our wheelhouse of statements that we make as human beings, for how many years have we said hindsight is 2020, hindsight is 2020, really not knowing that we were essentially talking about the future, that hindsight will be 2020, that once we get to the year 2020 and it's behind us, what did we learn from it? Are we going to leave it behind us type of thing? So what can you say about the irony that, we've always said hindsight is 2020?
I never even thought about that until you said it just now. I was like, wow, it is hindsight 2020, and it was 2020. Me personally, I can probably speak for everybody. Slam the door in 2020. You just said slam the door in 2020, man, and move forward. We're coming out of the woods a little bit with everything that's going on, but 2020 was just a crazy year, and it's just I'm kind of amazing that saying is hindsight 2020, and 2020 was just the year that stunk for everybody. That's just kind of weird and kind of hard to believe, but 2020 was what it was, and I see people experience different things during it. Some, but I would think majority probably just like lousy thinking, as far as like not being able to, can't do this, can't do that, you can do this, you can't do that, you can do this, but you can't do that, But it's over now. We got to continue to move forward, and one foot in front of the other, man. One foot washes the other one. Both hands wash the face. You know what I mean? So we just got to keep moving forward, and keep pushing along here.
Preston, do you see a time where we will get to that place that looks, something like normal, that, masks aren't on anymore, that, people aren't constantly on edge, and everybody's mad at everybody? Do you think we can get past that?
I like to think so. It's hard to believe that I was going to work to schools and going to games and just walk right in, no mask, nothing. It's hard to believe that we were like that one time. I think eventually it'll get like that. I think it'll be some people will choose to wear masks for a long time. I think, but in time everything changes, and I think that too will constantly tend to proverbial die off. Sense of work, as far as like masks and people on the edge, and like, put your mask on, do this, you gotta do that. I think that stuff too will kind of fade, and eventually with time, I guess that stuff will eventually fade off. I'm sure there's some people that will never completely let the mask thing go, and that's their that they choose to do that. That's their thing. But I think eventually it will. I would assume it would take, unfortunately, probably maybe close to another year, probably, but I think eventually it will.
Yeah, and getting to that point, and I hope we all do get to that point. But in the meantime, what keeps you positive? What keeps you focused? What keeps Preston Shumpert going in crazy? Because people need to understand, and I think a lot of us do, because when you're living your life, you see it. But before Corona hit, people were still dealing with stuff. They were dealing with debts.
Absolutely.
They were dealing with, job loss and money and breakups and all this stuff. So, you know what I mean? It's like, on top of all of our own individual concerns and problems, here comes something that affects us all. What's your advice on how to deal with life that you're going through while you're dealing with life that we're all going through?
Yeah, I think people, you hit it. I think people definitely have their own personal things they're going through, just like any other time, and then you put on this on top of it. Just for some people, it can become overwhelming. I mean, it can become overwhelming, and I get it. Me personally, I'm a half full, the glass half full kind of guy. Yeah. I always think about, oh my goodness, my glass is half full. You know what I mean? So I can, my mindset is just that. I always want to look forward and be positive about the things that are, to be positive about. I don't want to necessarily spend a lot of time on things I can't necessarily change, or spend a lot of time on just being negative, because it tends to bring you down. You know what I mean? So, and I get it. Some people just can't get over it, and I understand that fully. But I'm a glass half full guy, so just as many negative things I can think of, some positive things I could be, so me personally, just try to stay positive, keep pushing. We made it this far, we got a little bit more to go, and we'll be right back in the dome, man, cheering and bumping shoulder to shoulder and getting after it again.
What should we have all, I know we talked about time and whatnot, but to go a little bit deeper, what should we have all learned from everything that's been going on?
Just how fragile, life can be. I mean, just off of, not necessarily just, like, oh, you get corona and now you're sick, but just how fragile it be as far as like
Tortora on WakeUpCall.dt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/WakeUpCall.
Sorry, we're at the capacity. You can't come in because we can only have 10% people watching, or 20%, or whatever it was. Things can be fragile, and you should take it don't take it for granted, and appreciate the things you got around you and your family and your friends and the time you get with them. And think about the glass half full, man. That's the only thing I can think of. And I think that just helps me stay positive. I think some people need a little more than that, and I guess they'll try to develop ways to be more positive. But this type of thing was kind of out of our control. We're just trying to figure out ways to control it and keep it under control, keep it under wraps. But time heals everything.
That coming from Preston Shumpert here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. If I am correct in this, Preston, Syracuse Orange Basketball alum from 1998 to 2002.
Yep.
In your debut, you had 15 points in 15 minutes. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Bring me back to that moment.
Just my whole thing, ever since coming from high school, I always wanted to have an impact on the game. I don't care if it's diving on the floor, taking charges, hitting threes, boxing people out, making a good pass, being where I'm supposed to be, setting screens where I'm supposed to be. My thing was making the coach believe, have a feeling that I cannot not play this guy. This guy, every time he gets in the game, he brings positive energy, brings positive minutes, and I just kind of felt like if I went about that mindset, I would get a chance to play and seize the opportunity. It's all about seizing the opportunity when you get the chance, and that was just my mindset. I had a belief that in my ability to make shots and knock down shots from anywhere on the floor. I put the time in and the effort into it. So I was just ready when my time came. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't, oh my God, this is Jim Boeheim, or this is Syracuse University, there's 25,000. I wasn't. That was secondary to just do what you've always done, and you'll be fine.
And for you to kind of shut out all that outside noise, say, you know what, do what you always done, you'll be fine. Some people find a lot of difficulty in being able to block it out. How do you do it?
It's just, you departmentalize, you know what I mean? That was what it is. Those people are going to be there if you're there no matter what. So if I was at Syracuse against, whoever, the fans were going to be there. Coach Bam was going to be there. Syracuse team was going to be there. I'm just a cog in that system trying to have an impact in it, have an impact on the game, and the belief in my ability to be able to do that. Your team is going to be that. I'm just a cog in that system. I've done it trying to have an impact in it. Just like doing without the people. It's the same thing. It's the same muscle memory. It's the same form. It's the same mental, lock-in and, intensity that it takes when you're not on the court with all the people. If you do it in the practice, focused, super focused, and intense without the fans, you'll be able to do it without the with the fans. Problem is, you cannot do it reverse. If I can't do it with no intensity and just kind of lackadaisical, not fully focused, and then when the fans come, tell myself, I'll be able to do it when they come. We're playing against Cornell tonight. I can just kind of jog through it. I'll be okay. I can just kind of, I'll make it through, no problem. But next week when Connecticut comes, I'll be locked in, coach. Doesn't happen like that. I was always taught it's not a light switch, so you can't just hit the switch, turn it off and on. You just can't do it. So I just took that with me, and I truly believe in it. And that's the best way I can explain it.
And that's, I think you can use that in any part of life. You can't be in any relationship or any successful thing where you turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. You got to either be with it or not be with it. You can't be at a job and be with it or not. You can't be a parent and sometimes be with it or not. You can't be romantic and be like, I love you, I don't. So it doesn't make sense to.
You're all in.
You're either and I find that people get offended when I say this, but the people that get offended are the people that are light switches. They get offended when I say, listen, I want all or nothing. I either want you to come here and work with my company and give it all or nothing. I either want you to be in a relationship or give it all or nothing, or don't come. Like 57%, 74, 99. No, it's either 0 or 100, and people seem to have issue with that, but those seem to be the people that you don't want to deal with.
Yeah, there's going to be days where it's hard, oh man, it's snowing outside, oh man, I'm tired, oh man, my foot oh man, I was here yesterday for over the time I needed to be, or I was here, man, I put in the work yesterday. Man, that's just what it takes, you know what I mean? There's going to be days where it's going to be easier, and there's going to be days where it's going to be harder. It's great to go play when you're making shots and you're in a rhythm. It's great. It's tough to, go to when you're missing and your shot's just not falling, and you got to find that piece to unlock it and just find other ways to have impact on the game or in a business, that type of thing. So that's ebbs and flows, and that's just going to happen. That's just life in general. There's going to be good times, there's going to be tough times, but the continuality and just continue to work and stay believing what you're doing, and the trust the process thing. Embiid was a great quote, and that's what it is. It's just about working and just staying on it and getting after it, and believing what you're doing. That's the thing. Believing what you're doing, and hopefully you'll get to the point where you get that outcome you want.
And speaking here with Preston Shumpert, Syracuse Orange Basketball alum for 1998, to 2002. We're coming off of a time you talk about, if that shot's not falling, you got to keep after it. You got to keep going. Last night we saw, Buddy Boeheim and Joe Girard have struggled at times. Joe seemingly more than anybody this season. Last night in the Dome is when Syracuse played Miami. I'm sitting there watching these two guys and got to speak with Joe after the game. They combined to go 17 for 31 from the field, which is 55%. They were 9 for 17 from 3 combined, which was 53%, and they both scored 23 points apiece. They didn't stop shooting. They didn't stop getting after it. They didn't stop pushing themselves. Boeheim released last night that they had both been sick, seemingly with COVID-19. So, they pushed through it. They got through it. Joe said that it makes him tired. He's lost some of his senses and whatnot, but they found a way to get it done. What can you say about going off of your comment of when you're tired, when you're down, when you don't feel good, when things aren't going your way, when something's frustrating, when somebody hurts you, when the shot isn't falling, to keep after it, because then you eventually do, in life, have nights like Buddy Boeheim and Joe Girard where, they went off last night and they really didn't need a lot of other people to do too much.
Right. That's just it, man. I mean, you just got to just keep pushing and do what you've always done. If you come in, and sometimes it takes a little more effort, and it's more mental than focus. It's more mental than physical. I was taught, growing up in high school ball in my formative years, growing up building, and it was literally 90% mental, 10% physical. I know a guy can jump, but if I box him out, how's he going to jump? You know what I mean? So it's more mental, getting around those things as far as, man, I'm not making shots, don't worry about it. I always believe if I'm struggling, I'm going to break through. And I don't mean break through the tune of 18 points or 25. I mean break through to the tune of 35, 40-point games, as far as like just getting through it. And that's part of the process. That's part of the thing that's, when you go through, it's not that fun. But when you look back, it is that fun. I mean, you go through points where, man, I can't hit I'm hitting everything. And it goes into games and weeks that I'm back to it. You know what I mean? So you keep doing anything, you just keep pushing, and you have that mindset and be focused. Those guys, I know they're putting in the work. Sometimes it's a little something more than just going there and shooting. It's maybe doing something different. Maybe not shooting one day and just kind of taking a break from it for a day, or like a half a day or something like that. Or maybe it's spend another half hour in the gym shooting a little bit. Maybe it's just stepping back and realizing, man, I'm playing basketball at Syracuse University. You know what I mean? So like, I need to snap out of it and get back to it. And guess what? It's gonna be hard times, but hard times don't last. Tough people do. So it's just a mindset, man, and going to it. And those guys keep battling and playing and believing in themselves, they'll be fine. But also believe that you can do other things that have an impact on the game. Defending, get on the floor, just mix it up a little bit if your shot's not going. But those guys, they're shooters, and they'll get it going eventually and make shots. Just got to keep working to get easy shots and really good looks, and high percentage shots, and they'll go down. They'll go down.
We look at a lot of people look at that number 3, and they think of Jerry McNamara as well. And right before Mac came into Syracuse, you were donning number 3 for the Orange, and you were taking those 3-point shots yourself. You made 80 or more in each of your last 2 seasons. You made 80 as a junior and 88 as a senior, 3-pointers made. And you were averaging right around 20 points for both of those seasons. Just what you can say about getting after it and shooting, continuing to shoot on those off nights. And, I remember watching you, and I know there were, games where you were up and games where, things just weren't falling and whatnot. And that I see end of season, and, you're over 40% one year, and then you're right by 40%. 2 more years, so 3 out of 4 years, right around that 40% from 3-point range. Just what you could say about, you developing your shot and believing in yourself, and just like in life in general, on and off the court, continuing to take shots, even if the first, second, or 10th one doesn't fall, or you don't hear the yes that you want to hear.
Yeah, I like to think that Jerry, I had an impact on Jerry as far as coming to Syracuse and be like, no, I want to be the next one to wear 3 and do the things he did and make the shots he did and be that person on the team. It was just, only thing I can chalk it up to is just hours and hours and hours of doing it. Put myself in the situation to be successful, continuing pushing myself to not fall for the mindset of being like, well, tonight's just not my night. Or, this is just not, what I want to do. Or is this going to work out? Or, maybe I should spend less time doing this, maybe a little more time hanging with my friends. Or maybe it's just hard. Do I have to put this much time? I never, of course, those thoughts came into my mind at an earlier age, but some reason it just made me something in me just made me keep pushing and keep practicing and keep striving to be good and be good at shooting the ball and playing basketball in itself, and just honing the craft of shooting, and just the belief of, if I keep working, I keep pushing myself and keep trying to develop what I'm doing, it can work out in the end, and I could accomplish some great things. And luckily I was able to go, come to Syracuse and play for 4 years under a great historic program, great historic coach. And, it provided me opportunity to, be successful and play ball and, do something I love doing, you know what I mean? Like, so it was all about hard work. I went back to hard work. You hear it all the time, hard work and, dedication. It was just the opportunity provided itself.
You talk about hard work and dedication and being able to do what you love, bring me into, this opportunity that you had, and hindsight 2020, looking back on that decision to come to Syracuse. What was the recruiting trail like? What was the message from Jim Boeheim like? And why did it just feel right to come to Syracuse?
Well, I was watching, like I said, growing up as a kid, seeing, the noon games on Saturday, watching Syracuse play ball, and I knew it was a big-time program, blue blood program. It would have been awesome for me to think about, playing there one day. And, as my recruiting process went, I wasn't really a super, super high recruit. I wasn't a McDonald's All-American, none of that. I just, still, even then, I believe, man, I can still, and just because I'm not a McDonald's All-American and I'm not, top 100 guy, I can still, what's holding me back from being smashing records and being great at the next level? I just need the opportunity. So, it came down to, as my junior ended and into my senior year, I had more, scholarship offers and stuff like that. And I had other guys on my team that were really good. I had another kid on my team that was up for Mr. Basketball. My junior year, actually, I was a junior. He was a senior. He was before me. So coaches were coming in and seeing this guy. So I always believed that, and my coach would tell me, just because they're coming to see this guy, but what happens if they see you? You know what I mean? There's always opportunities to, jump off the radar. So, I had coaches come. I had Billy Donovan in my high school gym watching this kid play. I had Bobby Knight come to one of our high school games. We had obviously Florida States that were right there in our backyard. And Billy Donovan was at Florida at the time. Auburn. So we had schools coming there because of another player. I just felt like, man, if they're coming to see him, they're going to see, they could see me. So I just, kind of seized the opportunity and took the opportunity to kind of perform and show what I could do. And it kind of stuck with some people. And, a lot of times when one school hears about you, the other schools wonder why they haven't heard about you. So they start to do their homework and kind of figure out. And then after that, it just took off. It was Connecticut, Villanova, Syracuse, Indiana, obviously Florida State, Auburn, Alabama, so schools in my area amongst the teams that were, up the East Coast, but Indiana, I might have said, but, at the end of the day, I had Syracuse, Connecticut, and Villanova were my last three schools. I wanted to leave home. I felt like I needed to, just kind of get out and, at that level, Big East was the conference to go play in. I believe I could have been successful in the Big East, and at that level, I truly believe I was that type of player. So I was looking forward to that challenge and kind of get away from Florida and kind of have a change. I was never in New York City until I went to the Big East tournament. I never went to New York City until I went to the Big East tournament. So I was just intrigued to kind of get to the East Coast and get to a big program and play. And, it just came down to those three schools, and I took a visit to Syracuse. Syracuse just felt great. Shout out Ryan Blackwell. He was my host. That's my guy. He was my host, and he brought me here. And I had a great time. I had a great visit. Met all the coaching staff. Was great, and it just felt right. I don't know. I couldn't really pinpoint one thing. It wasn't, meeting with Bam. Bam came to my home, came to my house. So it wasn't like, oh, Bam came to my home, so that's going to be the thing. It helped, absolutely helped. But it wasn't one thing over the other. It's just the combination of those things, and it worked out.
And Preston, having that story and that incredible connection, and like you said, you shouted out Ryan Blackwell. You talked about how you think you inspired Jerry to want to come and wear number 3. You're down in Florida, and you have all these other schools and Billy Donovan. Looking back on all of that, what would you say to student athletes today? And I know you're training, you're obviously training here in the community. I want to talk about that in a second. But what would you say about student athletes today that are trying to make it, trying to pave their own way, trying to, have a journey that leads them to the dreams that they have? What's your advice to them, 1? And 2, in a world where recruiting and everything is different right now, and virtuals and Zooms, and you can't go here and you can go there, and this team can't play, but this school's playing, but this one's waiting. What's your advice to them in general, and what's your advice to them in a very unique time for student athletes?
It's hard to fathom that being in this day and age, as far as, like you said, recruiting and that type of stuff, is just kind of shut down as far as, individually, personally coming to see players. I guess they can always get tape on you and watch, but you always want to put your best foot forward. Social media thing's a whole different animal. I mean, we didn't have that stuff as a kid, and a lot of these kids are living through that type of stuff, and they're posting stuff on there that, they think of right now is cool or the thing to do, but it kind of comes up and haunts them or bites them, later on down the road. Just be careful what you're posting. Just if you want to be great, you got to practice like you want to be great, and all parts of your life have to try to, have to coexist. It can't just be one without the other. You're gonna have to, if you take both seriously. As far as, education and then playing ball, because as a kid, I was always, I was always taught that you can't have one without the other. You can play ball, at the YMCA or in the local youth center or outside somewhere, yes, but you can't technically play ball at school without having the school, aspect of it. Take them both serious and, push forward and try as hard as you can. And I think if you do that and stay focused and, again, put the work in, put the time in, and unconditional time, you can be successful at anything pretty much.
And that's the thing is to believe in yourself, to put that work in, to put that time in. What do you have to say to people about the naysayers, the haters, the outside noise, because social media wasn't running rampant when you were, growing up as a kid, when I was growing up as a kid? What would you say to people when it's face-to-face bullying, when it's, a husband or a wife doing it, a parent doing it, a grandparent doing it, social media doing it, whoever is telling these people that they can't achieve greatness,
right?
What's your advice to them?
Well, I mean, we've been talking about sayings, all that. Misery loves company. I mean, people that, haven't succeeded or done anything with themselves, that always want people that also haven't done anything. They like to be surrounded by other people that haven't done anything, so they're all just angry and mad in the same boat per se. I had, growing up, people, why are you doing this? You spend all that time, you coming from here, you're not going to be able to go, whatever. You're not going to be able to go to college or big college, or you're not going to be that good, or, people. So don't forget about me when you get big time. Or my thing was, are you going to forget about me if I don't? So it was just about, if you're hating, hate harder, because it's going to put more motive in me. It's going to make me, besides my self-motivation, give me a little more motivation to prove you wrong. Prove people that said, oh, the guy was okay, but he's never going to be this or that, or she's okay, but she's not this or that. It just gives you a little more motivation to prove those people wrong and prove it to yourself. So, I mean, nothing's worse than a person that's super highly motivated. You see it all the time in games. One team, they don't have a shot. They're gonna get killed. They have no defense. They can't stop this. They can't do that. They can't do that. And guess what? The team comes out and crushes the other team because they've heard all week how bad they were, how they couldn't do this, how they couldn't do that, and they came out to prove people wrong. Back somebody up in the corner, you see the real person. Back animal up in the corner is going to come out and only has one way out. It's right straight ahead through you. So a lot of times, people are going to be, their social media stuff is crazy. It's just another level as far as, like you said, the bullying and just the people just trying to come down on you. Like I said, I mean, that use it as fuel. You can either use it as fuel or use it, it's going to crush you. So I would say use it as fuel, use it as motivation. And that's just one more thing you can hang your hat on as far as to get you up out of bed. Oh, tomorrow I got to go shoot. That's just one more thing to get you going and get you a little more focused as far as, the task at hand.
And a final note here for Preston Shumpert, 98 to 2002 at Syracuse, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal Studios. Preston, what you're up to now? Like I said, you're back in the Central New York community, back here in Syracuse. What are you doing for the kids today, and just what you can tell me about how you're looking to give back and hopefully help other people find their way as some people helped you?
Yeah, right now I'm working, glad to be working at Morgan Road Elementary School. It's in Liverpool School District. And my thing was, it's all about being able to be touched. You know what I mean? I take pride in being able to be spoken to and being able to be touched as far as like, ask me questions and, have that example as far as, for kids and talk to them on a personal level and individually see them, every day. And if they have problems, ask me and that type of thing. So I'm in the classroom around young people every day. And I also work at, I train kids individual at BBA 315 is the plug. I'm plugging here. BBA 315 is the website to visit. But yeah, I do individual workouts. So I have kids from from guy from little kids to kids in college. So it's the whole spectrum. Kids that have never played before, to kids that, like I said, have played all through high school and all growing up. So I touch a lot of kids and a lot of kids' lives, and just hopefully I can be a positive influence on them. And a lot of times we have, we work basketball things, but I tell them all the time, don't hesitate to. If you have something personal you want to ask me or something you're dealing with, you can ask me that too. So all that stuff is relative to being, a mentor per se, or being there, being available for the kids. And, they think that, if you're a big time basketball player or you're a movie star or you're a whoever, businessman, that you don't have your individual dealings and things that, were affected you or negatively or positively, and or things that happened to you, that necessarily they can't relate to. But, shockingly, there's things that, people all go through that they can relate to. And there's a lot of ways people are different, but there's a lot of ways that they're the same, So saying that, I just enjoy being around young people and having a positive impact on people. So I enjoy it.
That coming here from Preston Shumpert. Preston, I appreciate you taking some time here today and being a part of the show. I appreciate your positivity. As growing up, watching you play, I'm happy to have you back here in the community and to see so many Syracuse alumni back here in the community. So, if probably the biggest thing I can say to you is thank you for donning the number 3 well. Thank you for everything you brought to Syracuse and to the fans. Thank you for what you bring to the community now with the kids and who you are, as an adult here in our society after being here as a kid. And, thank you more than anything for the positive messages this morning and the reinforcement that maybe some people need to hear in order to push forward.
Absolutely, man. The community's been great to me, as far as, not necessarily coming out to just coming to games, but, the support when I was on the court, when I was off the court, it's been great. The outcome has been phenomenal, more than I ever thought I'd be able to do. I felt like if I had the opportunity, I'd be able to do it, but you never quite know for sure if you're going to have the opportunity to do it. It was great on the court, off the court, and it continues to be. So appreciate you guys for the time, man. Thanks for the call this morning, and I hope you guys have a great day going forward, man.
All right, man. Well, listen, I'll look forward to talking with you soon, and in the meantime, God bless and be careful in that snow, all right?
Appreciate it, man. Have a good day.
All right, take care. That coming from Preston Shumpert once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets life. Happy to have Preston here on the show with us this morning to continue our Syracuse Orange Basketball alumni coverage and conversations. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we'll get you set up for the Fantasy Football Power Hour right after this.
Avicoli's Restaurant, located right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road, is proud to be your local neighbor, growing with you for over 20 years. We're open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and drinks. For takeout, delivery, or catering, call us at 315-622-5100. When you order online and use our promo code AVS10, you will save 10% on your online purchase at myavicolis.com. And make sure to join us monthly for our live on-site broadcasts centered around Liverpool athletics. Avicoli's, your local, trusted neighbor right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road.
Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground. because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Trapper's Pizza Pub, located on 5950 Butternut Drive in East Syracuse. Right off of Bridge Street is your local community supporter right around the corner. Join us on site at Trapper's Pizza Pub for our live monthly broadcast supporting Central New York student athletes and their sports programs. Call 315-438-4444 for more information. And find us on Facebook and Instagram at Trapper's Pizza Pub. Trapper's Pizza Pub, your local community supporter, right around the corner.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on Facebook Live on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and for the first time ever simultaneously on YouTube Live on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT as well. We're going to end this video and start a new one, so for those of you watching on Facebook Live, know that we will be starting a new video momentarily as we celebrate the championship round of the NFL playoffs this season with Mr. Mike Sofka. So